Hello, students, and happy Super Bowl Sunday. I hope that you guys had a great weekend. I hope you got to do something fun today. If any of you are football fans, and if you're not, then I hope you just enjoyed some time off or with people you cared about today. So, I've been grading outlines, and a few issues are kind of reoccurring. And so, I want to really kind of emphasize some of those ideas and just kind of talk through what this week is going to look like. So, a few issues. Number one, an outline and a rough draft are two very different ideas. Guys, an outline should only be a few sentences. It should be your hook, your thesis, and then the topic sentences of the ideas that you're going to talk about in that paragraph. You shouldn't be writing a full-length paragraph. You shouldn't be going into explanations. That's what we do for the rough draft when we're actually writing the whole essay. And a lot of you basically turned in the rough draft to me. Now, here's the good news about that. For those of you who made that mistake, hopefully you're going to be able to use a lot of that on your rough draft this week that you will be submitting this Wednesday. So it's not a loss. However, I need to see that you can outline so that I can ensure you understand that part of the planning process. So I just want to make those distinctions very, very clear. Outlining and rough drafts are totally different beasts. Outlining is part of the planning process, and that's what we do to make sure that we're on track. The rough draft is our first shot at writing the full length essay. The other thing I want to talk about is your topic sentences. That's where I saw a lot of you struggling. Um, and what I want you to think about, start with the topic rather than an example. Here's what I mean by this. Some of you started with ideas like um, this one time when Logan stuck up for me in fifth grade, I will never forget it. What you're doing is you're starting with an example or a story. You're not pointing to a topic. You're not pointing to something about my character. You're not pointing to a chapter of my life. Um, Instead, consider forming that in a topic with something like this. Logan's school years were marked by being a friend to all. Okay. What that does is it opens up the paragraph. What I want you to think about is when you start paragraphs with that example, you're not going to write the entire paragraph about that one idea. When you start with this broader topic or this character quality or this greater understanding of the person, then it lends space to be able to really cultivate that topic and to give room to give a couple examples instead of just that one. Um, Another thing some of you are doing is you're writing your outline more like an obituary. And so you're saying things like Logan was born on August 24th, 1991 in Monroe, Louisiana. Well, that's not a topic, that's a fact. And that's something that you would find in my obituary, but not a eulogy. Those are two totally separate ideas. Remember, a eulogy is this heartfelt, what your friends and family want to hear. It's not the facts of your life. So make sure that you're distinguishing between those two ideas. Another thing, consider a timeline. Some of you are super strategic and you've got this really great organization. The ideas are good. Excuse me. But then you're getting to your third paragraph and you mention something in the topic sentence about childhood. Well, that would make a lot more sense at the beginning of the paper. So, really strategically think through, what am I crafting here? And does it cohesively fit into this essay? And then finally, the last thing, your introduction organization, you should always start with a hook. And remember, your hook is your attention getter, it's the thing that captures your audience attention. The background information is just a little bit of key information about that person maybe explaining the relationship between the two of you. And then the thesis is the main message. What is the main idea that ties those body paragraphs in together? What is the main message of that person's life that you want your audience walking away with? So I hope this was helpful and kind of broke down a few of the main things that I'm seeing. Again, the biggest issue is a lot of you turned in a rough draft instead of an outline, and it's not a loss. You're just going to have to show me that you can do both. Guys, I'm so sorry. It's been a long but a great weekend. Okay, now I want to give a shout out to Gustavo in one of my English 111 courses. Gustavo really did a great job with his outline. And so I wanted to show you kind of his example. So for his hook and opening statement here, he said, "Finally, at the end of the road, I hope to be remembered by all, not as a grumpy old man, but instead a caring man who was able to do everything he could to provide and protect his family. I want to be remembered as someone who lived by their ideals and without regret." By the time Gustavo has reached his 25th birthday, I saw that he was dedicated to being able to prove to his friends and family that he can exceed in his career, whilst also showing love and care to those around him, and to ultimately make the most of his time, of his life for the time to come. That is a phenomenal thesis statement that really shows a message of his life. Then, as you can tell, it's only one sentence for each topic. That's where a lot of you went wrong. You were writing full-blown paragraphs. And it says, "Those who knew Gustavo at a younger age knew of his commitment to focus on his education and career and saw just how serious he was to ensure he could make those around him proud." That was his first body paragraph. The second one, Gustavo made sure that he put his friends and family before him, and he never forgot to appreciate the ones closest to him, as they were a reminder to him not to give up, as they were there to support him on his journey to success. Last one. Throughout Gustavo's life, multiple risks were taken to ensure that every sacrifice and decision made was absolutely worthwhile, and that his life showed the value of friendship and the importance of sticking to one's beliefs to have a greater career and overall life. Now, here's a couple key things. This was not a perfect outline, but it was just a really great example of having these clear ideas. Okay. He had this really great idea about his career. He had this really great idea about putting his friends and family first. And then this idea of risk taking and making the most out of life. Um, Way to go, Gustavo. You did a great job. And I wanted to show those of you who drafted kind of what this is supposed to look like. And he followed the instructions perfectly. He wrote in complete sentences. He used the different topics and body paragraphs that I had laid out for him, and he only did one sentence. Two is okay sometimes, but one is preferred. So way to go, Gustavo. Just a really, really great job in following instructions. Now, if you go to the module, I want to kind of cast a vision of what we're going to be doing. So some of you are going to need to redo that outline, and that's okay. I'm going to ask that you complete that by tomorrow evening, and I'll put that in the announcement. But then what I want to point out is draft week. So if you scroll down here, you are going to have your eulogy rough draft. And guys, here's a little video that talks about peer review and feedback. But essentially, you're going to take the feedback that I gave you on that outline and you're going to cultivate a full essay. So your first rough draft of this essay. And remember, if you did the assignment of Anne Lamott's crappy first drafts, this is not supposed to be perfect. The idea is to get your ideas down on paper. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to submit your draft in a Word document. And then when you submit that draft in the context box, you're going to indicate two things that you want your peers to really look for. For example, if you're worried about your thesis or your topic sentences, I want you to make that clear. And then after you submit your draft, you need to choose one person to review using this revision checklist that I have here below. Remember, this is a thorough review. You should be spending quite a bit of time in helping your peer. And an important thing is do not choose a peer who has already been done. I want you to know that if you do that, you will not be given credit. Choose someone who has not been reviewed. And then it's just important to remember, be kind in your word choice. Honesty can be done with great thoughtfulness. So, for example, saying things like, I really appreciate your really strong hook. It really grabbed my attention. However, I think the thesis might need a little work. I had trouble locating it in the introduction. That's a really kind way. You're showing what they did well, and you're highlighting that and boosting their confidence, but you're also being honest in what they need to look for. And so your rough draft is going to be due on Wednesday, and then your peer review is going to be due Sunday. So this is all you're doing for the week, is drafting and reviewing your peers' work. And remember, if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out. And I will also be going through these rough drafts as well, and giving each of you some overarching feedback, to help guide you in the best way possible. Guys, I hope this was helpful. I'm looking forward to working with you this week. And again, I know a lot of you struggled on the outline. So if you need to meet with me or call me, don't hesitate to reach out. And let's make it another great week.